This episode of the Coarse podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
This is Donnie Abrazauskas
and Tim Savage from Turkey Hill Brewing Company.
You are listening to Sean Rosler on the Coarse Grind Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode number 166 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With you as always this evening, host, creator Sean Rosler. How is everyone doing this evening? Oh, I'm sorry, you've heard this intro before? Well, you're going to hear it again. It's that important. But really, not much of an intro here for this one. That's a nice change of pace, right? I only say not much intro needed because, well, we've all been here and done this before. Sure, we'll ask them to bring us all up to speed and inform new listeners, but they're veterans. And this one in particular is a real freaking veteran of both recorded and live shows. Not just of the show, but of the industry as well. And this industry, as you may have heard, has taken some square shots to the stones nonstop for more than a year now, thanks to a little thing called COVID-19. And yet, persist they did. Persist in this case, he did. Persist as they've told me they had to, and it's never been about them. This is what I love about these people. And the counterpart to this, folks, who have listened to it, was Amanda Dunn. Tonight, again, same story. It's never been about them for this guest. The handful of conversations I've had with innumerable restaurateurs this past year has only echoed the sentiment I got from this gentleman tonight. And it wasn't that they were some Wall Street banker worried about their hedge fund or not some industry tycoon making sure their pockets stayed fat. No, every time I spoke to this young gentleman in particular, it was always about the industry, about their colleagues, and most of all, their work family. Not all locales in the area work like that. Certainly not here. And I felt it was due time to shine the light on this particular local culinary icon, dare I say hero, who worked his ass off to stay afloat and to get back to some semblance of normal. Well, again, I think it's due time this individual got the credit that he well deserves for being a shining beacon of hope in an industry that has needed it more now than ever, and after driving by the parking lot tonight, I think that beacon's pretty goddamn bright. I know I said not much of an intro, but I guess there was one to be had. Sorry for that. But as things reopen, currently, I think it was 75%, might be 100, we'll find out. What you won't be sorry for is visiting this individual's establishment, who just happens to be a sponsor of the Coarse Grind Podcast. And if you go, of course, tell him Sean sent you. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, the front of the house demigod from Turkey Hill Brewing Company and my pal, newly married, Mr. Andrew Nebel. Put a ring on it. If you like it, then you put a ring on it. What's going on, man?
How goes it, man?
Oh, God, good.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I'm blushing through the phone at you right now.
Well, again, cut all the interview, cut all the bullshit out of the way. Congratulations, dude. I know it was a long time coming, and, you know, I wish I could say you're the only one I knew who was planning a wedding during this, and, like, we were joking off air, like, you know, I didn't have COVID, and it was crazy, so I can't imagine what it was like for you, man.
Yeah, third time during COVID change was the charm, I guess.
Yeah, it's the charm, as they say in threes.
Yep. You know, we adapted for sure quickly.
Better, stronger man than I, and I hope it was everything the pictures showed, man. Jesus Christ. Like, and listen, like, I'll bring you my wedding album sometime, then I think that they look great. Good Lord, man. You two, like, I don't know if you're,
Thank you.
starting, like, some kind of all-indie rock band and, like, you're making this sweet cover for it, but the one where, I don't know if it was some kind of, like, arch that was built or something like that. But, I mean,
yeah, the background there.
I'll tell you it's a beautiful picture, but I'm going to tell you, you got way outclassed, man. You married up. Let's just be honest with that one.
I've always been one to, try to shoot a little above where I try to be, you know?
You have to. The worst thing this is, no, right? And look at you, said yes, and, you know, Katie, for what it's worth, if you're listening, you looked absolutely stunning. Congratulations to you as well.
Beautiful.
So, all right,
Thank you for the kind words.
Let's get the mushy shit out of the way, can we? You, sir, and I mean this, and I told Amanda, Amanda down of Light Street was the counterpart to this, and you two were going to be on together, and then you had to go and get married, you selfish prick. So, you know, I felt the two of you matched up, and let me just put this out there, and I just want to know where your head's at. And, you know, we've talked, and every time I went and got a sextal from you or something like that, we'd shoot the shit about the industry and whatnot, but I really mean it when I say, like, when I look at the industry, 50-mile radius minimum here, it's you and her that did the right thing the way I've had people from, like, out in freaking Colorado, California, Alaska, all do the right thing, in that they stood by their families. And by families, I don't mean by blood. I mean by profession. I mean by occupation, vocation. And you did. And every time I talked to you, you were all about the, I'm worried about them. It was never about you. And I can't express this enough. And I think, folks, if you're listening and, you know, you've been to Turkey Hill and you've seen this dude with glasses running around like mad, making sure you're happy, this is the guy. And he does it for his work family, too. And I think that's, I mean, I don't want to say it's 100% unique, but I'd say, like, you and Amanda came to my mind for a reason, and not many others, and that it's remarkable. So, you know, let me just start with, for those who didn't hear the interview with Mr. Nebel previously, it's episode 27. It goes way back. And then he was on our live show for the 50th episode, which was great fun. But for those unaware, Mr. Andrew Nebel, tell us all a little bit about Turkey Hill Brewing and what you do there.
Right. So, for those that don't know, from the other ones, I'm the general manager up at Turkey Hill Brewing Company, and we are located in Bloomsburg, obviously. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary in April. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, you know, coming out of COVID and being able to celebrate that was incredible feeling.
That's massive.
Yeah, massive. That was a massive, you know, just jump for everybody, too, in the right direction. But, you know, we've been pumping out a variety of, you know, what we call, like, traditional style craft beers. You know, we don't chase the trends a whole lot. We brew it, you know, New England and that, but nothing, you know, overly trendy. We just believe in making drinkable, approachable beers and stuff that people can have a bunch of and not just one and have a destroyed palate.
No,
we
true.
do the sour, you know, we get into the sours. We always have a Berliner on, different fruited and, you know, all kind of different funky barrel-aged beers. And then on top of that, you know, we churn out a ton of food out of the kitchen. You know, our take on, you know, a pub fare with, you know, seasonal twists, and, you know, obviously we play into our, you know, geography a little bit here, and, you know we have to do some of the comfort foods of you know, northeastern PA and that, but we try to keep it fresh and, you know, keep things changing and just being able to produce, you know, quality, consistent food and beer.
Well, I think you're being humble, if I can step back for just a minute. I mean, first of all, I think you did a great job on the beer description, because obviously I'm a huge fan. Like folks, one of our COVID purchases, granted, was a pool. We had that in the works. We knew we were getting that before, you know, the virus unloaded. But truly, if I'm to be honest, the COVID purchase was a kegerator, and the first goddamn thing I put in it was Turkey Hill. Like, it's that good. It's that good. And, like, you guys are canning now, you're bottling now, you're bottling the barrel series, you're canning
We've been bottling the barrel series. We did, you know, at the beginning of COVID, before COVID, we had to start progressing towards, you know, doing 16-ounce cans. We've done 32-ounce growlers in-house for years.
Yep.
You know, as the glass growlers have gone by the... You know, we had already were on that track to get them in. And, you know, and I'm sure as we'll chat about a little bit, like, one of the positive things with COVID was that it pushed us to move up the timeline on some stuff like that.
Yeah.
In a need of, a means of survival.
Yeah.
And the cans, I do a little can dance and kiss the can every day because they were, along with great takeout food. I mean, but along with that, those cans were a saving grace for us. I mean, we were doing can sales every week, and we set up a little takeout window and stuff for the cans and food, and it thrived. We learned quickly. We did some, as everyone else, did some trial and error, but we learned from the errors and quickly adapted to it. Yeah. So.
No, there's a great picture I got at your window one of the first times I came by for just cans, with with the podcast logo and everything, and plugged it and everything. But it's definitely been a change, and it's like there's an English pub, and the name eludes me right now, but over in England, for those unaware, the pub is kind of like your local library versus the bar as we see it here. And I really get the pub feel at Turkey Hill, which is amazing.
Yep.
And so for me, it's this hangout spot. But, the one thing that people missed was that hum, was that buzz of a filled dining room or a filled pub. And this pub, I swear I'm going to find it. I've said this now for 4 episodes. Basically, on their website, they live streamed for 24/7 the sound of a crowded pub.
Yeah,
and people could listen to it.
I was sending pub crowd noises and the kitchen ticket noises. I was sending that to the kitchen staff in front of the house. Was getting just noises of the crowd and stuff.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. So long as the noise wasn't the ticket printer for the kitchen people, because that would probably send them in.
I guess that wasn't a happy thing, but they still missed it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's crazy. So let's talk about that past year, March 2020.
Friday 13th.
Oh, don't do that. Really? It was?
I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. It was Friday, March 13th, is when Thursday was like the beginning where the NBA player came down, and then Friday was, the end of it. I mean, it was. That was a terrifying day.
Yeah, because at that point, so if we map it chronologically, for now it's a year plus, because I've been trying to schedule you for 3 months since you decided to get married. I'm kidding, it hasn't been that long. But let's call it a year. What a fucking year, man!
That's what you call a learning experience.
Oh,
is a learning experience.
And I think, if we stay positive, sure, it was a learning experience. And, for vocations not of the culinary and dining a line, sure, yeah, we all work from home now. And it's cool. That doesn't work in some industries, and yours is one of them. And so, nope. Talk to me about the first 3 months. What was the pause? Cauterize the wound, and what do we do? What did that look like for you guys?
I mean, I guess kind of started that first weekend. And like I said before, I won't forget that. Is Friday night we're usually humming. We had canceled music that Thursday. Stuff was looking bad. Friday, there was way under our average number of people in there. And then that Saturday, the 14th, I mean, the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
There was maybe 50 people in there the entire night. And then, we got into Sunday and we had, kind of agreed that we were going to close down. And I believe we got I think we got closed down for certain, whatever, that Monday or Tuesday. But, honestly, leading that first was mass chaos, confusion. There's no other way to say it. There was no, there was very minimal coming out from the government and, from state as far as what we were supposed to do. It was just a lot of talk that, unprecedented times. No doubt about that. Not pointing.
Air quotes around president there. Air quotes.
Yep.
Right.
So we, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So we, those first couple months when we were shut down, we were totally shut down for. It was about 64 days.
Yeah.
It was a little over 2 months that we were completely shut down, no takeout, no real. We did a little bit with the beer stuff, started that pretty quickly. But it was, kind of as you said, kind of play on it was our first thoughts were, how do we take care of everybody here? What happens to everybody? We have, in the brew pub at that point, we had 72 employees between the front and the back of the house when COVID hit.
Yeah.
Back in March, So there are a lot of people, there are a lot of people that were inside of there that we had to figure out what was going to happen with them. And then as stuff came to light and, we saw what was going to happen, what we could do with them, we were able, fortunately, to pretty much lay off our entire staff and allow them to collect unemployment for a little while and that. And then, we seized an opportunity to do some renovations inside the brew pub.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds a little crazy to be, possibly doing stuff when you have no revenue coming in. You'd think you would just stand there and just squeeze. But, we saw an opportunity that we were never, hopefully, knock on wood here, that we were never going to have again, that we'd be closed down for, an extended period of time. So we actually redid our wooden floors upstairs and had the kitchen tiles redone, and we did a lot of surface work and behind the scenes work and just tidied up a lot of the brew pub. And also, I played a lot of golf.
Yeah. You didn't call me, you prick.
I played a ton of golf.
Why didn't you call me? I could have come out with you. We got to go sometime.
It was the only thing that could be done.
That's it. That's it, man.
She was working from home, so
beautiful. No, man, we gotta go out and hit them sometime. Speaking of that,
absolutely.
But let me ask you, real quick comment, then a follow-up question to that. I always find that when the world is going crazy about me, I'll sit, I'll meditate, I'll do yoga, I'll go inside of me. That almost sounds like what Turkey Hill did.
We did. We did. We totally internalized on ourselves. We just, we came together, had a lot of meetings. I called all 72 staff members 5 times, I believe, in a 72-hour period, just going over everything with them. We said from the beginning that we were going to communicate, as we always have, and make sure that everybody knew what was going on. Even if we didn't know what was going on, we told them that because that's what was going on.
Well, that's the thing, and I think that was one of the first times I came to see you, and we talked out back, and you're like, wow, like, I don't know. Like, and what a weird place that has to be. But I want to ask, what might be not a tough question for someone like you, but for, someone who maybe, like, is more of a centrist on things. When the restaurant industry began to shut down, and when the workers began to get laid off and actually receive truly what was their due from the government, because, quick newsflash for those of you who flaunted red hats for the past 4 years, unemployment is something you pay into, and then you reap when you need it. It's not living off the government. Nope. I'll get into that a little more later. But so what do you, as the guy who is handing out the marching orders, say to someone who says basically, oh, well, they got it easy. They got to get laid off. They got to stay home and collect What do you say to them?
I guess what in what I would say, I don't think it would. That's a good question.
Because I'll be honest in here, I'll lay on the landmine and buy you some time here. I had an altercation in an online discussion, of course, with someone who claimed, not only was that living off the government, but that gratuity work was essentially a handout. So,
right, and I've had that conversation about the tips versus hourly stuff, and I guess what I would say to them is, and I do, restaurants and the craft beer industry and the just culinary industry in general, and you obviously touch on it quite a bit, is an essential part of a community operating as a functional community. I'm not talking about just alcohol. I mean, the locations that people can get together and do things and be around one another, and that, we didn't choose to shut down.
Right.
We were, especially the restaurant industry, was very much used as an immediate scapegoat.
You were vilified. I mean, you were straight up vilified.
It was very easy to do it because they control our liquor license, at least in Pennsylvania.
Right.
We are totally controlled by the government with our liquor license. So, they could easily point the finger at us and show that they were doing something, but it wasn't. I can look back and say now, and again, I don't say this lightly, because obviously hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives due to this, and bless their souls easy. But, I as you said, we were vilified and took a lot of the brunt end of being that reason that this stuff was spreading and doing it. And, as stuff came out, it was proven that it wasn't, it wasn't us that was necessarily doing it. But it was very easy to target us. And, going back to what you asked about, what I would say to the person, and touching on with this, is we didn't ask to be shut down. Right. My staff didn't go, as did, I'm sure, very few others go, oh, this is great. Like, we've lost our jobs.
Oh, we're living the life. We're living the life.
We don't know if our jobs are going to come back. Right. We don't know if the restaurant industry will survive. So it wasn't just to go sit down and collect, and then do nothing. We were very fortunate. Again, I have a wonderful staff that we were very fortunate in that after we did our renovations and that, we went to staff. And again, along with it, a global pandemic. So we put people forward and thought about, okay, who takes care of or has to go visit their mother, or who is a mother, or who has, something going on that is, more susceptible to it. So we went to everybody and asked, who wants to help out doing takeout, and, who doesn't. And if you don't, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, none of this was our choice. We made decisions to follow the rules as Turkey Hill, as a business, all the way across the board. We followed the rules very strictly and clearly, but we didn't choose any of this. We were, I'll be honest, we were having hell in the beginning of 2020. We were on fire at the beginning of 2020, so it was a swift kick.
Swift.
Very much crippled us.
So let me pivot the question then and ask you the other side of it. That's more of the Culinary Institute angle, and it is this. What do you say to the restaurants that bitched and balked and hemmed and hawed about the regulations coming out and tried to refuse, tried to fly under the radar, and claimed that they were, that they didn't work for them? We know now, hey, Turkey Hill Brewing's all right. And if Turkey Hill Brewing's all right, I'm all right. So I'm happy. you couldn't know that. So
No,
why did you
we
decide to
didn't.
go along with that?
We very much trust in our customer base and in our staff to have the confidence in myself and the owner Andrew Pruden to make proactive decisions, that helped benefit everybody involved with it. I mean, I can't sit here, and I do mean this. I can't sit here and say that, somebody who wasn't following the rules did anything better or worse. I personally didn't agree with it. We've believed in following the rules for the overall better good. If it meant that, we cut back and, took a little flack for it. I mean, we knew that in the long run, when we finally got to here, towards the end of this, that our moral obligation during all of this was to keeping people safe first and foremost inside of our place. And in doing so, we lost business, for sure. But now, because I think, we were able to instill that trust and confidence in people, they're willing to come back tenfold at this point.
Yeah.
Over time, it was I forget what we called it during the COVID. We did have a name for it, what we were calling it. It was like a, community engagement or something along those lines. But, we wanted to stay relevant with the people during it the whole time, let people know that we were for them. And then, just hoped that in the long run, we'd eventually get to days like, last Monday that we were able to get back into 100%. So,
yeah. So you obviously are one of the ones that made it. You made it, and you did it through ingenuity. So you get past a 67-day hiatus, and you start to get creative. I know how creative you got, and it was amazing. Talk to me about the parking lot. How'd that come to be?
Well, our first idea, you would have to consider a kind of a flop. We tried to do an old, the old style car hop style service where we'd have people pull in. We would come out, not on roller skates, obviously, but we would come out.
I was looking for them, man. They never happened. I was pissed.
Yeah. Take their orders, and then, we came up with a menu that could be made in under 10 minutes because, we wanted people to not be waiting 45 minutes to an hour outside in their cars for food. So we came up with a small menu. It was a little too involved, I will say. It was a little overthought. So that didn't necessarily fly. But in the meantime, while we were doing that as well, we were starting our online ordering process where we were setting up, people were able to go on the website and then, order food and beer right from there. And also setting up the phone, process ordering again, which ultimately turned out to be a much better decision.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I don't want to judge,
but it was fun. It was a good trial. We just, simplify. Simple.
Yeah, that's it. So much of this was trial and error, and people fail to realize, you've never been through an experience like this before. There's no way you can know what works, so you have to try random shit. Right. There's no pathway. There's no pathway. One of the guests who's been on before, Chef Jose Rosenberg from out in Boulder, he's got Santo and another restaurant whose name eludes me at the moment. But anyway, they took their business model and went full mercantile. They just started putting ingredients in a box, selling them out the door, and it worked.
We discussed that. We discussed doing a little, Schitt's Creek was big at the time, obviously.
Yeah.
So we discussed doing a little, general store idea.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we fell back on to doing the family style boxes, and just changing up the menu regularly. and it worked well. It really did. Overall, I mean, it worked very nicely.
Yeah, and I mean, to give some, some other love locally, I know Toby and Sarah done a Blind Pig.
Yep.
They started doing, the meals at the door. They started selling duck fat, and I'm like, I didn't realize I needed it, but I need duck fat. I need it now.
Give it to me. We didn't even do takeout. Prior to COVID, we didn't do, phone order takeout. We didn't do anything. You had to come in, order food at the bar, and wait for it to come in. So it was total change for us. And again, a very positive change, one that we continue with now after COVID is you still can order.
Yeah, so I mean, we start to come in, we start to come by, then we're able to come in at 50, and maybe we sit outside. We sat outside the first couple times, and then we start to come inside. I love the seating outside, though. Like, I think it's brilliant. Keep it. And, like, again, if you can't take a lesson from it, then you didn't really learn from it. Like, I think, like, God, that's a great place out there. That's so fun. There's places like down in Ocean City. Was Blue Crab Shack, where you go and there's like this whole cornhole set up. There's benches and everything before you even get seated. Yep. That's what that feels like out there.
We kept it rolling too. With the outdoor, we kept the beer garden, kept all the tables out there. Extended the patio, more tables in there as well. Put a fire pit out there. Got some other stuff in the works here, as everyone else knows. Getting people to do landscaping is very difficult right now. So, by the end of July, we will have an even more updated outdoor area over there. But
well, I mean, at least plywood's cheap, right?
That's right. Yeah, we got tons of plywood.
Jesus Christ! Well, we know where we're robbing tonight. So now, fast forward. Here we are. And I just heard, this is, all right, so here's just to tie in a personal note. I finally worked out without a mask on last Monday. And it was like the dog that's been raised on a chain, and you take it off the chain, and the dog sits there in place like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what do I even do? Where's the covering that was on my face before? And then I go into Renko. For folks not from the area, that's an Ace Hardware store. And, I look around, I see people without the masks on. I look at the sign, and it's like, oh, if you have both shots, you can... And I pull it down. I'm like, oh my God, this is weird. And so, the psychological impact hits, but we're here now, and I hear you say live music, and for the first time, like, God, not to be lame, like, I'll try not to get choked up, but I'm like, wait a minute, we can just go listen to music.
We did live music for the 10-year anniversary. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't shed a little tear.
I would have been a mess. I would have been a fucking mess.
So we were doing 100+ shows a year.
Yeah, I mean, you've always been such a supporter of the arts, and that's, again, something I like. Listen, folks, I don't monetize this show. I've gone on about this, but let me just break it down for a second. The people who I have as quote-unquote sponsors, I just kind of line up with because I love them. And, if you're looking for somebody who champions solid craft brew, solid quality food, and solid music, like, and I know that's all you, bro. Like, I know you're behind that engine pushing. I love it. I love it. Tom Graham this Thursday, right?
Tom Graham Thursday, yes.
Tom Graham Thursday, and then the rest of the list is going to be on the site, right? TurkeyHillBrewing.com?
Yep, we'll get it up here this week for the rest of the summer. Thursday nights all summer long.
So it's amazing. So to cut my cry fest down to a couple seconds rather than hours, I love it, and it really, like, makes me hopeful that we're where we need to be. Where do you feel we are right now, Nebel? Like, where do you feel we're at?
I think early here, and again, we were very staunch supporters. I'm saying I have to agree or disagree. I'm just saying we were supporters.
Understood.
Of following the rules and doing what we were supposed to do. Last Monday, the 31st, was when Pennsylvania was allowed to open up to 100%, if you have both vaccine shots or one, if you have the Johnson & Johnson, then, you're allowed to be without your mask.
Yep.
I have staff that does both. I have, I'm not necessarily asking my staff for their vaccination records, that my staff is honest with me and honest with themselves as far as what they need to do and, what they don't need to do. So, but we have staff that I know is vaccinated and still wears a mask. We're around a lot of people, and I have staff that doesn't wear a mask. It is very liberating, I will say that, to not have it and be able to interact and smile again at people and, make facial impressions of people. But I think in rural PA, where we're at right now, we're in a pretty good place. I mean, we have a decent vaccination, percentage, and, I see a good uptick in people's spirits and what they're doing, and, I do still see, some hesitancy, but sure. I think that it is, I see the people that were, like myself and, you guys and others that were not in restaurants and places, for a very long time that are coming back, and coming out without their masks and that, and, it makes me feel good. I think that we're turning a good corner here to get back to, and I know everyone keeps saying it, and I don't want to even say it, but a sense of normalcy, No,
I don't think there's a better word for it, though. I think that's what it is, and whatever normalcy was before, I mean, I think it's safe to say, though, it's easy to realize practices you had before pre-COVID that, you don't want to go back to. I don't know that I want to, social. I don't want to work out of the house ever again. I'll be honest. Yeah. I'm done. I'm out. I'm good. Yeah. It solidified it.
I'd be lying, too, if I said that there were periods of time here where I was okay with there being way less people inside of the building.
Yeah, and honestly, I do have to wonder, is there going to be an increase ever so slightly of xenophobia, because people aren't accustomed to that. We went a year in crisis mode, and
yes.
with varying stages of it too, like the toilet paper shortage, the chlorine shortage, the wood shortage, holy shit, the protein shortage, chicken.
And now we're getting into shortages that are massively affecting our industry.
Chicken wings, I hear. Chicken wings are...
all protein is going up. Chicken wings are... we don't really do chicken wings, but there's several places around the area that they've either stopped doing them or raised the prices massively. But, yes, it was a roller coaster of emotions and figuring out what to do. And I agree, there is... there is that still a little bit of a weird hesitancy with people, wanting to come back out and being accustomed to things. One thing we've noticed, a couple things we've noticed is, people are still weirded out by sitting at the bars a little bit.
Yeah.
They haven't been allowed to sit at a bar in a year. They're not quite, they don't quite remember what to do. And I do mean that as well. There are people coming out, obviously, I don't know who it was, but there was a guy this weekend that he literally went over to the server and was like, I haven't been to a restaurant in a year. I just want to make sure I'm filling out my receipt correctly.
Oh my God. It's I want to laugh, but I'm my eyes are huge.
Yeah, it was kind of alarming, but also like you're saying, it was this whole year, again, I know you keep saying, but it was a lesson. And it is a whole psychological experiment watching all of this go down and how it affects different people and, how we're very much accustomed to finding different habits and how quickly we can adapt to them.
Oh, no question. No question. So, let me ask you, is there finally hope? Are we good?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I think so. I'll speak for us, and I will, I do see the industry coming back. I mean, we are thriving again here. I mean, as we came to the tail end, even into the 75%, and then leading up to the 100. I mean, we're thriving again now. I mean, we are doing very well. People are coming out. We are very well staffed up again, which is amazing. And I see a lot of hope for it. I mean, as always, there's always, as the old adage goes, there's always going to be taxes. People are always going to buy that.
Death and taxes.
They're always going to buy alcohol.
Yep.
And that is there. That is no doubt. But it's coming back. People missed it. I think people missed interacting. I know we did. And I ultimately think that people very much missed. You can make food. It was something that we talked a lot about, and what scared us with being closed and being under restrictions for so long. It wasn't that we necessarily thought that we couldn't come out of it or make it. It was that we were concerned that people would forget about restaurants. Yeah. People can't, they saved a lot of money by not going to restaurants.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a different thing. I mean, obviously people still did takeout and got canned beer and that, but we were very much concerned, but it goes back to what you were saying at the beginning of the episode here as well, that, people can make food. I mean, you make great food, you don't really need to go to a restaurant, but people go to restaurants for the interaction, for the experience, and to, be around other people.
If you go back to one of the panels, you were on one of the panels I did, right? Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you go back to the panels and you listen, one of the most common things you hear is that people just want to be taken care of. And it sounds like such a powder my ass, clean me up, put a diaper on me, but it's honest, and to counter your point, here you were in the industry worried that people would forget. And I love that some of the most ardent, I'll cook at home, I don't need to tip above 10% people got broken. Their spirits literally got broken with the hammer of the culinary gods. And they came crawling back, tipping 30, 40, 50%. And going, oh my God, I missed you, honey. Good. Because and I mean, look, I don't over-importify this show, this platform, or whatnot. But the one thing I will say that this does is it puts the culinary industry where it belongs, front and center. Because without it, you die. And this past year, I hope to God some people's feet got put to the flames. And they get it now. It's a shitty, miserable existence without restaurants. Full stop.
There's no doubt about that.
Full stop. So, quick summation round, my friend, because I know you've been busting your ass all day. I don't want to keep you. These are supposed to be short ones, and look at you and me waxing like old pals. If you had to name it, the hardest part of the last year. Hardest part.
Laying off 72 staff members.
Yeah.
I mean, that was not just the hardest thing I've done in the last year. That's the hardest thing one of the hardest things I've ever done, in my life. I mean, I very much mean that too. I mean, I even said to, fiance at that time, not wife, but I even said to her that morning when I had to do it, was, what the fuck do I wear to go? What do I do? How do I prepare myself to go tell 72 people that they no longer have a job? Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it might be air quote temporary. Right.
And we didn't know it at that point.
You didn't know.
I still didn't. I pinched myself, fucking tonight. Yeah. Just thinking again that we were back at 100%. I mean, I remember tearing everything down in there last year and putting it in storage, And having to call up people that, we are we have professional servers. This is their job. This is their livelihood. This is their passion, and this is their career. Yeah. You know, and you can't go serve somebody food through a screen.
No.
You can't deliver that experience through a screen. You know, these guys couldn't just turn around and go get a job at another restaurant. There wasn't another restaurant to go to.
Nope.
You know, so it was that was heartbreaking. I really struggled, you know, for several days with that, for sure. Yeah. And still do a little bit. I'll be honest. Yeah. It's making me feel weird, even just saying it out loud a little bit.
Well, you know, and all kidding aside, like I offer this up as both stage, platform, and confessional. It's like, you know, sometimes when you say something and it comes out and you finally get to say it and hear it, that it finally lightens the load a little bit. And I mean, it's like you're by far, I can't say by far not alone enough on that statement, but look at you. And this is the thing to, you know, employers who wonder, why aren't they coming back? Why aren't they coming back? Treat your people right. Don't treat them like shit. I said this. I said this when I had Amanda on, and I'm saying it now, and it's only because I love the two establishments so much. And it's because of that. It's because of the fact that you see the same faces. Why do you see them? Listen, if you're in corporate America and you see turnover, all of a sudden HR has got a red flag up the flagpole. You're getting called in. You're being asked why your employees are leaving. For whatever reason, we just accept it as a truth, like an unwritten one. Yes. Like, oh yeah, they just turn over. Bullshit, man. Nope, I want somebody who knows it, knows my menu, knows my place, knows everything about it.
We funny you lead in, you know, saying that too, and I know we're getting to the end here, but I had this conversation with a new employee. I won't say any names or anything, but I said this when I started getting some staff from other places. You know, if your best employee leaves, you don't need to be texting or calling that employee and asking them why they left. You need to be looking at yourself in the damn mirror and asking yourself why that employee has left.
Yep. There's restaurants where mid-shift head chefs have left.
Yes.
And guess what? It's not because you treated them right and they just had some kind of family issue. Look in the mirror. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. But to wrap it on a positive point, Nebel, my brother, greatest victory of the last 365. What's it been?
Well, besides getting married, that's personal, you know.
You're smart beyond your years, man, because I wouldn't have thrown that out there. You did. Well done.
I know what to say. But seriously, that was a hell of a ride.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
But that personally, I would say professionally, you know, and in up at the pub, that we were able to retain so many staff members that when we got from pre-COVID, that when we got to last week, you know, and got in, this was the past weekend, it was the first weekend where we were 100%, you know, all hands on deck. Like, I would say seeing all the same faces, but then at the end of that Saturday night, I mean, you know, it was like, you know, it's like we won a fucking championship or something.
That's like, it. You got. I mean, honestly, and I don't think this is exaggerating. And now that I'm working in a space where I'm touching on behavioral health as part of my job, you know, I hear things like PTSD with regards to, you know, children, school-age children, restaurant workers, and I don't think it's a stretch at all. You guys survived what is essentially an existential crisis, dare I say war, and you came out alive, and it's like, it's honestly like you're meeting on the other side of the battle lines, thinking that everyone's laying dead back in the back, and everyone's coming up being like, oh, you made it, you made it, you made it.
Yep, you're exactly right, dude, and Also with that too, I mean, I feel like are stronger up at the Turkey Hill Brewing Company than we ever have been in our last 10 years. I mean,
Love it.
I really do feel that we've put together a nice little monster up there again that, you know, we're going to come out of this as we have, even stronger and ready to, you know, get our asses kicked again, because that's what we're there to do.
Solidified, fortified, legitimized. You, I cannot tell you enough, and I don't want to, like, gush and have, like, a bro moment or anything, but I honestly, I truly do hold you in the...
We keep those for off camera.
I know, we'll save those. But I do truly hold you in the highest esteem, because I believe what you do personally truly has carried that restaurant out of what could have been death. I mean, just put it bluntly, man. You did it. You did it. And here you are, 100%, Turkey Hill Brewing Company, 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, 570-387-8422 for reservations or informations. Be sure to check them out at
reservations.
Reservations.
No reservations.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. God, I say that so much.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We're weird. We're weird like that. We want to make sure you're in our place where you know where we friggin' seat you down. But you
That's
always
right.
have a reservation.
That's right. Yeah.
The Rosslers always have a running reservation.
Yeah. Ignore. Are you passing through Central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company and 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together. Unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.